Hey guys, this is Dan. Welcome back to Wayne Manor North. Today I bring you a review of this exquisite statue from XM Studios. XM's Deathstroke Samurai Edition. All I can say is, holy cow. Let's roll. So guys, as we get into this one, I'm just going to share with you right up front, I am not a connoisseur of the Deathstroke character. I actually don't know much about the character. I didn't read Teen Titans. I know what I saw of him in New 52. I'm a huge fan of Tony Daniel's work, and if you haven't seen Tony's work, he is a phenomenal DC Batman artist, and he picked up Deathstroke in New 52 back in 2015 and just did an amazing run. His style is phenomenal. For my money, it's kind of in line with the Jim Lee style overall, and I really enjoy it. So I did pick up Deathstroke back then and enjoyed that a great deal, and just really like the character. Also like the character, the version that they did in the CW series on Arrow. I thought that Deathstroke was a nice add to that show. Certainly gave it a lot different texture, and I really enjoyed him as a villain. So when I saw that he was a key villain available in the Samurai line, I thought, yep, that's definitely worth looking into. And so I was fortunate enough, as you may or may not know, to pick up the Batman, the original figure in the series. Also subsequently picked up Batgirl, also a phenomenal statue. And when I saw this one and I saw a couple of the reviews on YouTube, excuse me, I thought I've got to have that piece. Just amazing. The base alone is phenomenal. So we're gonna dig into this. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on the piece as we go, and we'll have a look. So thanks for joining, and let's get into it. Okay. So guys, let's dig in. So first, before we jump into the statue itself, just in the unboxing experience itself, and when you go to take this piece out of the box, I just wanted to share with you what it came with. Like the other pieces in the XM line, comes with this instruction manual. Pretty helpful, especially for a piece like this. Couple of tricky pieces on it. Overall, not that bad to put together. You can see here, I'll put up a picture of what the boxes look like. There were, with like most of these pieces, there were 2 layers of foam. One contained the base with a few parts, one contains the body with a few parts. Pretty easy to get through, although I have to tell you, this box weighed 77 pounds. So I don't know where all that comes from, because I have to tell you the statue's heavy, but it's not 77 pounds heavy. So not quite sure where all that weight comes from. I know they do, as I've said in previous reviews, they do a great job with the box. It's very kind of Apple phone, iPhone-esque kind of experience, where you have that suction with the, when you open the top over the bottom, it's kind of set up like a big iPhone box, reinforced corners, high resolution graphics on the outside of the box, just a real good out-of-box experience. So it comes with this piece. The other piece that it comes with is this art print, which pretty cool. This one's a little dark. The Batman, the Batgirl, I kind of liked a bit better. Okay, overall, the colors are interesting, but the figure himself, I'm not sure that he's lit quite right in this piece, to be just completely honest. I'm not crazy about this one. And as always, like everyone else and every other reviewer has said, this here wrecks the print. Okay, so let's get into the statue itself and the concept. So I want to talk about the concept of the piece a bit. One of the elements that really is attractive for me about the samurai pieces is the level of complexity and how intricate the statues are. Relative to that, I once heard and read somebody that had written about Batman's villains, his rogues galleries, and how there's a fan theory, a pervasive fan theory over the years, that the rogues or the villains, they are each a reflection of one aspect or another of Batman or Bruce Wayne's personality, and whether they're something that he struggles with relative to his personality and who he is, or something that's a strength of his personality and who he is, that his rogues gallery reflect elements of those things back to Bruce. And hence the reason why they are effective, again to varying degrees, effective in their villainy and their ability to go toe-to-toe with Batman. And I don't think Deathstroke is any different. So when George Perez, and I'm sorry, I can't think of the other person who developed the character, but when they developed Deathstroke, I think they did a great job in capturing some of these aspects. Deathstroke's ability in terms of combat, in terms of his smarts, his ability for hand-to-hand combat, as well as the use of tools, his speed, his agility, and how he approaches battle overall. Very reminiscent of how Batman approaches going toe-to-toe with his villains. So I kind of like that an aspect of Bruce's and ultimately Batman's personality, his tact, and the things that make him strong in those areas are reflected almost like a mirror back to him in Deathstroke. So I like that aspect. And if we look at the concept of the statue itself, and I'll bring up some high resolution pictures here that illustrate my points, is the intricacy of the piece is what really captures my attention in these samurai pieces. The detail of the costumes, the detail of the armor, and the quality, quite frankly, of the textures and the paint application and the thoughtfulness of the design that goes into the piece. So what I'll do is I'm going to start in reverse order. I'm going to start from the top of the statue and look at the portrait first. And what you'll see here, and I'll bring up a picture of the alternate portrait, but I like to but I like to display, I should say, this statue with his masked portrait. So I think they did a phenomenal job, a real interesting take on the Deathstroke mask with the skull as you see it here. And also, I'm not sure how this shows up in the video, but his armor has almost a copper appearance to it. So, you know, leveraging Deathstroke's navy blue and orange coloring, I think they did a great job of capturing that here with the navy blues and the blacks and the grays and the coppers in his armor and the copper as you see it there on the mask, and the kind of the death mask application on this half with the skull face, all fantastic. And then as we move down the statue, and you can see the plate armor, the combinations of plate armor and almost some carbon fiber elements and some steel mesh elements and some that almost look like chainmail in there, and all of these various things, and leather straps and nylon straps, but just make for a very intricate approach to his armor and the thoughtfulness of what a Deathstroke character would incorporate into his suit. So all looks very well done, all really well captured. The two katana swords are also just done with a tremendous amount of detail here. And I love the different pose. I love the behind the back reach for his second katana, and I like the way that this one is displayed. Caught that sword. The way that this one is displayed as in the ready position on his left. Love it. I think it's just fantastic. And then you have the nods to the Japanese style, and these things were captured so wonderfully in the Batman and the Batgirl pieces. I haven't had the pleasure of seeing the Poison Ivy, the Bane, or the Catwoman piece in person, but I can tell you that how they captured those traditional Japanese elements in this statue and those the other two Batman Batgirl are phenomenal. This one is right in line there in terms of the traditional samurai armor, the skirt armor. I'm not sure what they call that, so forgive me, I don't know what that's called. But the armor and then the undergarment that is under that looks fantastic. The texture on it looks like real cloth. Just did a phenomenal job. And then you have kind of these scarf elements that are out front. They match the scarf element that's coming on the back of his helmet, and each one of them is textured to look just like cloth. And then, of course, as you move down, the same pieces and armory parts that are represented in the top of the statue or in the bottom. I mean, it just goes on and on. And as you look down at his boots, you get back into the metal plating or what looks to be copper or meant to be copper, and how it's articulated on his foot and his ankle to provide for movement. All of these things just kind of sell the pose of the statue and the fact that he is dynamic and ready for battle, and just tells that story the way that you would want it to. And then as you move down, you move to the base. And I have to just a little funny anecdote about this. My daughter, who came into the room as I was opening this thing for the first time, who she likes my collection, but she's not a fan of it the way that we are. The first thing that she said about this is, "Wow, Dad, the base is the coolest part of that statue." And I have to tell you, I'm not sure that I disagree with that. As fantastic as the statue is that I just finished talking about, the base is phenomenal. I might go so far as to say this might be the best base in my collection. This thing, whatever this creature was, whether it was stone to begin with or it became stone after Deathstroke took his head off, it's out of this world. It looks like real stone, and the detail and the paint application on the armor around this that make up the I don't know if it's quite a helmet, but the head adornment, the helmet, the head protection it looks like metal. And then the stone pieces and the skull underneath, it all looks like real stone. It's painted and weathered and looks like it's 1,000 years old. And as you look closer at what is meant to be metal on this, the detail, I mean, just to the smallest, every piece is just captured in here with amazing detail. There are also elements on this helmet that look like rope, and they just look amazing. I can't say enough about this base. And so I'm bringing up some pictures here so that you can see some close-ups, but again, just amazing. And then the other pieces, there's a couple of spears here that you see that are kind of stuck into whatever this beast was, stuck in here. You have a flag on the back. Not sure what the banner says, but it has a Japanese kanji symbol on there, and also it couldn't look more like real fabric, but resin nonetheless. So overall, just a fantastic piece. Okay, so let's have a look at the switch outs on this one. I give you Slade Wilson. So I thought this was a really interesting take on Slade's portrait. I love the coloring in the hair, the lighter, a little bit older Slade Wilson. I know that he's kind of middle-aged character in the comics, but I think they did a great job of capturing that older Slade, that older version of Slade, with the coloring of the hair, the weathering in the face, and I'll give you some close-ups here to see this. But the detail in this portrait is fantastic. Not all statues who give you that unmasked portrait do I find at least that it's worthwhile or worth displaying that extra portrait or head sculpt. This is definitely an exception to that rule. I can absolutely see myself displaying this half the time. I also like it with the shotgun. I think the shotgun is fantastic. It adds something a little bit different to the statue. And again, like the other samurai pieces, although this one doesn't come with nearly as many switch outs as Batman or Batgirl for that matter, it does come with a few, and this gives you a nice change. It actually changes up the statue quite a bit. It's a pretty good sculpt as well. The gun is, it looks really well. It's painted well, like you would expect with a statue of this caliber. So yeah, I think it looks fantastic, and I plan to display this like that. The one thing I like about the gun too, that I should add, and I should have talked about this when I talked a little bit about the character background, is Slade Wilson having a military background. This is a guy who's comfortable with guns, right? He's comfortable with hand-to-hand combat. He's comfortable with guns, and just comfortable with weapons overall. Another one of the similarities with Batman, right? Batman not having superpowers, unlike Slade, who does have serum-given superpowers. Batman has to be able to leverage his mind, and he's got to be able to leverage his knowledge of weapons and hand-to-hand combat and fighting styles and those things. And Slade is not dissimilar, although Slade has healing capabilities and enhanced strength and speed and all of those kinds of things. In many respects, he's not dissimilar from Batman in terms of what he relies on for tools, and I think this is a great add and a great nod in that direction as well. Okay, guys, let's wrap this one up. I really appreciate you spending a few minutes with me today to talk about XM Studios' Samurai Deathstroke. Just a phenomenal piece. Wish I could find something to criticize on this. I really can't. The paint, the sculpt, the concept and the art direction, all phenomenal. One thing I did want to mention though before I wrap this video up is if you are fortunate enough to pick up any of the Samurai line, be very careful when you're opening it. These are extremely delicate pieces. So this cloth reddish looking garment that wraps around Deathstroke, it's got a lot of extremely delicate tips and points on it. These are all integrated. You don't add any of these on, with the exception of the ones that are attached at the front to his belt and to the scarf that comes off the back of his helmet. All of the sash pieces. These are all integrated and extremely delicate. Now, XM does a great job, as always, with packaging, but these are easily caught. And I haven't done this very often, but I thought I'd share with you. I have about a 1/4-inch piece. Luckily, it's one of the very back little points on the back of his sash that somehow snapped off in the unboxing process. It's a real small piece, like I said, and luckily it was a clean break, so I was able to take some Zap It, which is a fantastic adhesive. If you have something like this, I recommend it. You can find it on Amazon for 10 bucks. And I was able to put it right back on there cleanly. But, you know, it's always disappointing when you have a breakage in an unboxing. And like I said, I don't even know how it got caught. I literally opened it up and it just happened. So anyways, just a little fair warning. You have a lot of very delicate, the little scarf or bandana pieces that are on these spears are delicate. The banner is extremely delicate. You have little tips on his helmet here. All of this cold cast porcelain, all extremely delicate. So just a little heads up on that. But again, getting back to wrapping up, I really appreciate you taking some time. I really appreciate you tuning in here to the Batman Statue Collector channel, and for Chris in allowing me to bring this content to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it a little bit useful if you're considering this piece. There's a few of us here in the Batman Statue Collector community, both in YouTube and as well as on the Facebook group, who have fallen all in on this samurai line. I can tell you, next one on my list is the Harley Quinn piece. As soon as that goes up for PO, that is mine. I saw she and the Robin piece firsthand in New York at NYCC, and it is just off the charts. No different than this one, maybe even better. It's a more comprehensive piece, but we'll get into that a different time. Again, thanks for joining. Please post your comments below. I'd love to know if you're in on the XM line. I've noticed several collectors are all in on these and getting every piece. I haven't gone quite there yet, just from a space standpoint. I'm not sure I can commit to that. But I'd love to. Pieces are fantastic, so I'd love to hear from you. Please post, comment. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it. Chris is fantastic, the Batman Statue Collector, and I can tell you on behalf of the community, we'd love to have you. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.